All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel, the main event here, and we're just gonna go a quick little review of Charlotte Regional's top 8. Look at the teams, look at the name, take a look at some of the team lists. But before we get started, thank you guys for being subscribed. Thank you guys for hitting notifications so you always get notified when my video goes up. It was really cool meeting some of you guys in Charlotte. In the comments, if we met, I met Maine. Let me know down low if we met at the event. Let me know if you are going to be at any other events. I might try to do some myself. But let's get into the actual video here. So first place was Justin Karras. He actually played really well throughout the whole day. He won with this team up here of Goat Tusk, the greatest Paradox Pokemon ever. Got the Tail Talonflame bundle for the main Tyranitar. So Tyranitar was kind of the glue for the team that held it all together, right? Because what made this team so good was how good it was into the really dominant Lilycole Sun team, because Talonflame would make sure that Lilycole just wasn't outspeeding all your Pokemon, like your Fluttermane and your bundle. Talonflame would make sure of that, and so would Tyranitar, right? Because it would just turn off the sun. So not only is Lilycole not outspeeding stuff anymore, but also the eruption damage is less, and Tyranitar has its Sand Boost and a resist. So Lilycole can't really knock this thing out. I think it's AVT-Tar. Let's open the list. So it's AVT-Tar. It's Terra Rock. Not Terra Rock, it's Terra Flying. It's a rock type though, so it doesn't take much damage from Torkoal with Assault Vest. And even if it does go into the Terra Flying, then it resists like Lilligant's moves. Then it also resists the fighting type moves from opposing T-Tar, King Gambit, or just Iron Hands in general. And generally, close combat and Drain Punch would do more to a T-Tar than a Wild Charge would do if it Terra Flyings anyway, so it's still not that big of a drop off defensively. But yeah, also the really fun thing about this T-Tar, which I don't have a Pokepace for it or anything, but because Moxie lost to this team that Taller Webb was using, which I think is identical. I think him and Justin and someone else were using the exact same team. I think this is like a really speedy turbo T-Tar. So under Tailwind, this T-Tar was outspeeding Moxie's Fluttermane, and Moxie's Fluttermane was Timid 252. So it had to be really fast, or it had to hit at least 103 to do that, right? So it hits at least 103 for sure, is what we do know. So now it's outspeeding not only like Lilligant's and opposing fast Pokemon, but it's outspeeding the Fluttermane on the opposing Lilycole team as well, which makes it a really tough matchup for everything, right? Because at that point, once it's outspeeding like that stuff is outspeeding basically everything in the game except like Booster Bundle, which is actually insane, right? Because it still has a good matchup in the Booster Bundle as well, because it hits the bundle for super effective with Rock Slide. Bundle can Hydro Pump it, but with Sand and Assault Vest, I don't think it's gonna do but so much, and Freeze Dry does even less, right? And then even if it's Terra Flyings, then the Hydro Pump does significantly less as well. And the Freeze Dry is not that powerful into Tyranitar with the Assault Vest. And then it has Low Kick to hit opposing T-Tars, hits King Gambits really well. Heavy Slam hits the Fluttermane and just gets rid of it. Rock Slide just does damage to both opponents. There was one time on stream where it caught like a crit and knocked out full health Fluttermane, I want to believe. So yeah, T-Tar is kind of like the glue of the team. But Life Orb Tusk is like the MVP. This thing was picking up knockouts crazy. I actually watched Justin versus Judy off stream, like I was just spectating. This thing like 1v1s other Tusk really easily because its Headlong Rush just blows them up. Terra Ground, Life Orb, and I think it's Adamant too. I'm pretty sure it's Adamant because it was slower than other Tusk, right? So unless it had like Jolly, but some of the speed was put into its defenses, it's probably Adamant Tusk. So this thing just does so much damage. Like Headlong Rush, there's nothing in the game unresisted that survives Headlong Rush, and then even resisted, it does so much damage with the Life Orb and Terra Ground. So it's kind of like the MVP. I didn't see much use of the Gothitelle except when Moxie played against this team, because he had his own Gothitelle, so it gave the opponent a way to switch out, fake out the Gothitelle, taunt the Gothitelle so that to get Trick Room, Thunder Wave stuff, etc. Talonflame again just does it. This is actually what I want to talk about a little bit too. So I always thought that Talonflame would be a better safety goggles user than it was a Covert Cloak user. I never really liked Covert Cloak on it because even if it gets faked out, right, and it ignores the fake out, here's the thing about that. Gale Wings is what makes it get the priority on its flying type moves. So essentially, once you break the Gale Wings with fake out, you don't need to you don't need it to not flinch. You don't care about the flinch. It's more so you get to move before it now. You can potentially knock it out with something like a Hydro Pump if you hit it, or if you have a fast rock type move, or just something strong that just hit, because Talon-Flame's not that bulky. So I like Safety Goggles better because you keep your Gale Wings intact in the sand, which carries really good synergy, so you're not chipping yourself down. So you can get your Brave Birds off after, even if you lose health. You're under Tailwind now, so you're still getting your Brave Birds off first, and you're not losing extra health after Brave Birding stuff. Will-O-Wisp and Taunt is pretty standard. Whole set's pretty standard, but I think Safety Goggles is the best item for it. I don't think you ever clicked Terra Ghost either, as far as I saw. This Flutter Mane is actually incredible. I heard some people say that it's like a bold Flutter Mane, and I'm inclined to believe it because it unterred in finals. This Flutter Mane survived a Terra Ghost Shadow Sneak from Mimikyu, and like that's a pretty strong attack. It survived on low HP, but it lived, right? That's just unheard of for a Flutter Mane. It did not Terra either. Like I said, it just took the hit. Joe did double up into it, but he missed the Hydro Pump. We were poking fun at him for not clicking Freeze Dry or Icy Wind instead. He was like, he knows he should have. Shout out to Joe. Had a great dinner with the guy. But yeah, that's the team that won. It's a really great team. No pun intended, with the Great Tusk. But Great Tusk was probably the MVP of the squad, just doing what it needed to do. And the team just enabled it really well, right? Like I said, Ttar had its back with the turning off the sun. This kept it outspeeding stuff. Ttar again helped it with opposing bundles. Flutter Mane just took care of things that it couldn't take care of. Got the tail. It's always going to be good, especially if you can lock things in that are bad into Tusk, because then it's like, that's not good, because now Tusk is going to blow you up one at a time. The team was awesome. Justin Karras played awesome. Let's look at some of the other teams. Oh, so Joe's team also had a Great Tusk, which is wonderful because Great Tusk is the boss. He had an Amoonguss and a Mark-9. He had Mimikyu bundle and King Gambit. His King Gambit was a load. He played this thing so well. Like, if you had to ask me like who's the best King Gambit player I've ever seen, it's probably Joe, because he used this thing to like it's nobody's business. He's switching it in on Arcanines. He's not tearing in front of like drain punches and getting wild charged. Like, it's actually incredible some of the stuff he was doing. Take a look at the sets just real quick. Ironhead, Sucker Punch, Assurance, Terra Blast. I like that set. Standard Amoonguss, Terra Water. Very standard Arcanine, except no extreme speed, which is interesting, right? Most people would run extreme speed, but he had like, it's like a balance team, so he had Snarl. The Mimikyu was the coolest thing because it had Curse. Its Life. Oh, the Mimikyu was Life Orb too, so I don't know how that Flutter Mane from Justin Karras team survived. Life Orb, Terra Ghost, Shadow Sneak from into a Flutter Mane non-Terra, didn't survive. Curse was really good for him into like Dondozo's because it just takes away percentage of their health. It also helped him beat a Ttar that he couldn't really damage at the time. Cut your HP in half. Disguise stays intact. You just put a curse on the opponent and they just start losing HP progressively as the game goes on. And then he had a more standard touch, which is kind of my preferred way to do it because I'm afraid of getting one hit KO'd. Headlong Rush, Close Combat. He didn't have Earthquake though. I guess because he didn't have a lot of Earthquake synergy. But granted, he had Amoonguss and Terrifying Gambit, so he probably could have put it. But Ice Spinner makes sense, right? Because it hits Dragonites really well. It hits opposing touch really well. But that's why Justin Karras' was so good, right? Because he would like burn the Tusk, take the Ice Spinner, and then blow up opposing Tusk with Terra Ground Headlong Rushes. He didn't care about not having the Ice Spinner move. He had enough damage as it was, right? So he didn't really need it that much. Luca is actually an incredible player. I was talking to some people at the event, and he apparently mostly team builds and Theory Crash with people. He doesn't really play that many events. And it's like he played in January, and not January. He played in 2022. He like did really well at the regional. Didn't play any since, I think, and then he came and just got third place. It was one of the top seed all day. He lost one time in Swiss between 2 days, and he lost in top 4. That was it. It was the only time. He lost to Justin Karras as well, right? So he lost to the champion, which is nothing to sneeze at. Top 4. Paul Chua lost to Joe in Top Cut. He had a really cool Palafin Balance team. That's basically that's what they call this stuff, Palafin Balance. Zachary, the reason I'm skipping the team list for these because they're pretty standard. I actually want to go to Zachary team. Zach, shout out to Zach. Zach's my boy. He came in 5th in both Vancouver. Yep, he came in 5th in Vancouver and in Charlotte. So really hoping he can break through at his next event into that top 4. So he has an assault vest. He has an assault vest Ceruledge. Terra Grass, Bitter Blade, Shadow Sneak, Clear Smog. That's actually incredible stuff. Really incredible stuff. It's just really good. Most people would have like the Clear Amulet bulk up. He doesn't care about any of that. He just wants to survive hits, recover, hit stuff with Terra Blast, and then Clear Smog, opposing dozos. And hit fairy types as well. The Sylveon, right, is Psych Up. So he invented this team himself. It's actually pretty genius. So he has Perish Song on his booster Flutter. So something that he can do and has done, if you go with the Perish Song onto your Tatsugiri, and it's Sash Protect, right? So he can keep his Tatsugiri on the field. It's not like Specs or Scarf. So he can make sure this thing stays on the field until Dondozo's ready to eat it, which is really smart. You can Perish Song your own Tatsugiri, and then once you get the Dozo in, the Tatsugiri is still on a Perish Song timer. So at that point, it eventually will faint if he plays it that way. And then if he has the Sylveon in the back, Psych Up copies all Dondozo's boost. So it gets the +2 special attack, the +2 speed, it gets the +2 defense, +2 special defense. So if he pulls this combo off against you, it's probably game over, because now you have to deal with a boosted Dozo and a boosted Sylveon, which is actually terrifying to deal with. He also has the Glimmora on the team, but he doesn't do it like in a stall set, right? He just does it to get the damage down, and then sweep through with his other mon. He doesn't like do it and then just like stalls out the whole game so you die to so you can die to poison. There's Pasho Berry, so he can like just stay on the field in front of like opposing bundles, because they can Hydro Pump it, but they won't KO. And Power Gem will KO them, right? So he can just stay on the field and not have to worry about it at all. And he does run Protect, which I like. Or Spiky Shield, which I like, because it does damage instead of Protect, which it just blocks the move. So yeah, the Flutter is pretty simple. Moonblast, Perish Song. It does have Icy Wind, which is good speed control, and then Protect. The Tatsugiri has Taunt, Muddy Water, Protect, Draco Meteor. Pretty standard, except for the Taunt. Taunt is very, very interesting. But I guess if you can get it in the right position, you can taunt like an Amoonguss, so you don't really have to worry about getting to put to sleep as much. And Bitter Blade Ceruledge with Grass is also really good into Amoonguss, so I could see why he didn't care for Sleep Talk, because he has good options into it. Yeah, he has really good options into Amoonguss here as it stands. He has the Glimmora, so yeah, he has really good stuff. I think the Terra Dark is for Psychic type moves, which makes sense, right? He can always just, if he Terra Dark in front of like side spam stuff, yeah, they can't like Expanding Force him. They have to use the move, the Armor Cannon, which I'd be willing to bake probably EV to survive. And he can just like Power Gem in return. He can Mortal Spin, get the damage down, start poisoning those side spammers, but leaving them on the field so they can't get their sweepers in. So the team is really interesting. So shout out to Zach for that. Steve and me, another great Tusk. Shout out to Tusk, another Glimmora, Talonflame. So this team also has the T-Tar. So you can see the T-Tar Tusk Talonflame combo being really strong, because it basically is represented in top 8 twice. Except this one just doesn't have the Flutter, has Goldango, and instead of the Gothitelle, it has Glimmora. Eric Stewart, shout out to Eric, met him at the event, Silver Broom. He was actually undefeated day 1. He was 9-0. Had a bit of a rough start to day 2, but he still managed to win games to get into the top 8. So I'm really proud of him for that. Shout out to the boy. It's more like a Palafin Garg balance team. I think it's pretty simple. We'll just do a quick look at it. I don't think there's anything super special on here. Haze, Jet Punch, Wave Crash, Protect. Yep, he had sub. So actually, I will talk about the Flutter a little bit, because a few people at the events did this, and it was something I was thinking about, but I chickened out of. Dropping Moonblast for Dazzling Gleam, Terra Fairy, getting the damage down. I think there was special attack boosting on the Protosynthesis, so you're getting like a specs boost anyway. And then substitute Shadow Ball. I think if I run Flutter again, I'd probably run it like this. But that's just the only thing I wanted to point out on the team itself. Everything else is pretty simple. Terra Dark and Moongus, yes, 4 power. Yeah, so it's a really strong balanced team. And then rounding out the top 8 is a Richard Rappa, who had a I'll take a look at this too, because he had the Stone Journer on there. Focus Action Stoner, Protect, Wildguard, Rock Slide, Low Kick, Protect, Dazzling Gleam, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, very standard Life Orb Flutter, something that I was using. Protect, Quiver Dance, Giga Drink, Fiery Dance, is Glimmora, pretty standard-ish set. I guess a lot of people have been running Fiery Dance now over Heat Wave, so that makes sense. Very standard Mystic Water Palafin, Terra Fire King Gambit, which is pretty common. I guess with Terra Blast, some people run Low Kick on this set because they don't really care for the fire coverage, but I guess it's good into Amoonguss, so it makes sense. Pretty standard Jugulus. I wouldn't be surprised if this Jugulus is like Wolf's Jugulus, because I know I took some of that stuff as well. I just didn't use Steel, I used Fire, because it's better into Lilycole. But I guess with Terrafire, AV King Gambit, you're actually pretty good into Lilycole. You can Terrafire, Blast the Lilligant. And then the Volcarona is also really good into that, because you can just Fiery Dance it and do something else into the... Yeah, so... And then you have Wide Guard for that as well. So Sash Wide Guard, yeah, so he's good into the Lilycole matchup for sure. So yeah, that's the top 8. Tournament was a blast. If you went, let me know. If you watched, let me know. Let me know what you thought of the tournament, what you think of the top 8 teams. Do you have a favorite team out of the top 8 teams? Do you have a favorite player out of the top 8 players? Honorable mention to Cortex. He had a Terrabug, Earthworm, Earthquake, Belly Drum, Iron Hands team, which was actually insane. Shout out to Cortex as well. But otherwise, that's all I got. I just wanted to go over the team. Shout out to the GOAT, Tusk, once again. Let me know what you're looking forward to for Regulation C. Fort Wayne is coming up. What you think is going to be the dominant Pokemon at Fort Wayne Regional this weekend. Otherwise, thank you guys for being subscribed. Thank you guys for having notifications on so you make all the videos. And I'll see you guys in the next one.